Christians, and the clergy keeps the people in a state of ignorance and bliss and control over them. However, this was never intended, the ekklesia, to be part of an institutionalized religion, because that's always a deadly thing. Now, we've already established that the church as it exists today in our country, our relatively free country, is not the called out ones of Christ. Further evidence of that can be seen in the eagerness to obey the rules of the state and operate within the constraints of a charitable organization. Since the founding of America, churches have been exempt for the most part, not always, but exempt from paying taxes, except on payroll and earnings starting in the 1930s when that came about. However, as the gospel became more and more secular in nature, the government recognized this opportunity to weasel into the religious affairs by granting the churches a special status under law to maintain their exemptions. However, nothing comes from the government without strings attached. Of course, you know that. So the American church system was a prime candidate to sign on to this thing that they thought was to their advantage, to their best interest. And in a bizarre sort of way, the 501c3 charitable corporation tax exempt status that was introduced in 1954 corresponds seamlessly into what we're talking about, and to their counterfeit gospel, and the followers of the great whore of Babylon love it. See, this type of tax exemption, as many of you know that are out of the systems, turns the churches into corporations, charitable organizations, that must follow the guidelines as anything's granted by the government, whatever's stipulated in the agreement, which means in order to maintain that tax-exempt status, the churches, or any charitable organization, for that matter, must forego certain activities which specifically include engaging in political lobbying or campaigning. That means that pastors or church people and leadership cannot endorse a candidate for political office, nor can they participate in any political debate that may influence the outcome of an election or the passing of legislation. Essentially, what's this done? It's turned the pulpits, the moral compass of society, on its head. That's what it's done. And they kowtowed to it to maintain some kind of status they thought they needed. So there you have it. Your precious Constitution that many of you so-called patriot Christians seem to adore even more than the Bible has been turned to naught. Congress, making no law respecting the establishment of a religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, has virtually no further significance in the land of the free. Not only have the churches voluntarily repudiated the gospel of Christ, they have enthusiastically gone in league with the devil by preaching this doctrine of substitution, moral transfer, all this nonsense. They're a sort of Judas goat selling out for their 30 pieces of silver, and together, then, the system rides the scarlet beast adorned with all the trimmings of ancient Babylon, like Revelation 17, verses 3 through 6 talk about. That's the church, the woman on the scarlet beast. Not just the Catholic Church, not just some Orthodox persecuting religion over there in the European countries. No, the whole system. That's what we've always been trying to establish here. As throughout the long and sordid history of religious hierarchy, they've been fully aware of the control that they've put forth over people. And they've used it to their complete advantage. With the 501c3 thing, they can further demonize then the renegades that come out of the system that refuse to comply, and then the churches then wrap themselves in the flag as loyal patriots, and then they garner even greater credibility to the unsuspecting masses who equate God and country to the Bible. So we're the renegades, we're the bad guys in every sense. No wonder Solomon said there's nothing new under the sun. This same type of mind control has been going on since the very dawn of creation. And man, being a creature that's easily duped, or should I say doped, by this Luciferian agenda of instant gratification in the promise of supremacy, so you have the same establishment today as the people that crucified Christ, controlled in mind and heart by Satan himself. The same thing. They call us the Pharisees because we demand that they obey God, But actually, they're the ones that would have crucified Christ or any of the apostles if they came back and started preaching apostolic doctrine to them. Just like it says in Matthew 13, 14, and 15, hearing you will not hear, and you shall not, hearing you will hear and shall not understand, and seeing you will see and not perceive. For the hearts of this people have grown dull, their ears hard of hearing, and their eyes have closed, lest they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and lest they should understand with their hearts, and turn, and I should heal them. So you must exercise your senses of hearing, of sight, of feeling, of understanding, of reason, to come to God, so that He can heal you of this corruption, this filthy establishment that you're under. And that's exactly what it is. It's a filthy establishment of filthy rags, desperately wicked people, wretched, miserable, chief of sinners, sin every day, thought, word, and deed, born in sin, saved in sin, and never stop sinning. And that's the church compared to what the ekklesia is, a chosen generation, a special people, a holy nation, clean, pure, and crucified in the flesh with Christ in repentance. See, the ekklesia can never be connected with a system, and by definition, it's the called out ones, separate from the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, and all the trappings of the world, of vain entertainments, and all these things that the church finds irresistible and brings right into their corporation. See, the people, the ekklesia, they're the sheep who hear His voice and obey Him. They're the sojourns in the midst of a crooked and perverse generation, among whom they shine as lights in the world of darkness, holding fast the word of life. That's the ekklesia. It's in Philippians 2, 15 and 16, right after it talks about working out your salvation with fear and trembling. See, the religious systems of history have always provided man with a sanctuary for this sickness of mind called the church, to submit themselves to some kind of authority. They've gone to great lengths to preserve this safe harbor for carnality, including the use of torture and coercion and deceptions. Even when the vast monopoly of the Catholic system was challenged and brought to its knees in the Reformation, the duplicity continues. When the church was finally authorized, as I pointed out, to translate the Bible, what did they do? They translated ekklesia into church. So it's been to this day. The church is still considered a sacred gathering place, some kind of special place we can go and pray and find God, where God is available in spirit and in truth, and any time His hand is stretched out to you. And the clergy is looked upon as a people of some high esteem that we need to submit ourselves to. But all they do is keep people in a state of ignorance to all these things. They don't point out none of this stuff. However, God did not intend that His ekklesia become a place of institutionalized religion. And that's the reason that the church should have been translated probably assembly or gathering place. Would have been a more right definition of the word ekklesia in the scriptures than the word church that was authorized by all the translators since the days the Bible was translated in English. So you have it, the deception, and why you had to come out, those of you that have come out, and why those that stay in are under a strong delusion that it seems almost impossible for them to see through. And I hope this was instructive to you. You can learn more. You can get the articles and notes on these things, my website, or contacting me at Holding Firmly account and at standingthegap.org.